There are many people who believe that Anthony Joshua and his promoter Eddie Hearn did everything in their power to try and put off and even avoid a fight against Joshua's mandatory challenger, Joseph Parker. Now, it is true that originally, when Joshua's second defense of his IBF heavyweight title was scheduled to take place in November, Eddie Hearn had wanted to put Joseph Parker on Joshua's undercard to help familiarize him with the British public and build the Joshua fight up and then maybe have it in the early part of 2017. Because it's not as if they could avoid the fight anyway. Parker was the mandatory challenger. They had to sign the fight by early December at the latest or get stripped by the IBF. So that fight was definitely going to happen. It was just a question of whether it happens late 2016 or early 2017. But Joseph Parker had a guaranteed cast iron shot at that IBF belt had he wanted it. But still, Joshua went through whatever he went through with Eddie Hearn in terms of trying to secure opponents and get Joseph Parker on the undercard and whatnot. The Klitschko fight fell through. And eventually, Eddie Hearn started saying, okay, we're just going to fight Joseph Parker then. Now, again, some people believe that it was all BS from Hearn and that he was never going to allow Joshua to fight Parker on December 10th on the new date. And that's all well and good to believe that. The problem is that Joseph Parker's own team, his own promoter, Dean Lonergan, does not support the view that that Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn tried to avoid Joseph Parker. Parker's own promoter don't agree with that view. I'm going to quote Dean Lonergan directly here. Parker's promoter, he says, yes, we had started negotiations with Joshua's camp for December 10 date, and the opportunity to fight for the vacant WBO presented itself. Contrary to what people may think, the Joshua fight would not have paid Parker that much. Remember, if the fight had gone to purse bids, it would have been split 75-25 to Joshua, so the negotiations were centered around that basic point. Those are the words of Dean Lonergan. And previously, a couple of weeks ago, he also came out and said something similar. I'm going to quote what he said a few weeks ago. He said, if we take a long-term view, we'd much rather have a negotiation and a fight with Anthony Joshua when we are unifying two titles as opposed to us going to fight for one as a mandatory. It's going to be a better deal for Joseph Parker and Duco and a much bigger fight. So those are the words of Dean Lonergan several weeks ago. Twice now he's gone on record and basically taken full responsibility for the Joshua Parker fight not happening this year. He hasn't come out and said Joshua's avoiding us. They messed us around. They did this, that, and the other. No, he's saying we were actually in negotiations finally to fight Joshua on December 10th. But a better deal came up. A deal where we were not going to be the B-side. A deal where we'd be able to fight in New Zealand, our home country. A deal where perhaps they're actually getting more money than they were being offered for the Joshua fight. So they decided to go that route. Yeah? Doesn't seem to be the case that it was Joshua avoiding it. If it was, why isn't Dean Lonergan saying that? That's my question to those who believe that Joshua and Eddie Hearn shamelessly docked their mandatory. Let me know how you feel in the comment section below, people. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.